I'm Kelly.
I'm Natalia.
And I'm Iris.
We work in Baltimore City Public Schools.
And we're also members of the Teachers Democracy Project.
We made a video about the teacher evaluation system and interviewing teachers to find out their opinions.
We know that teachers need to be evaluated. We know that the quality of teachers is really important for students and that teachers need constant coaching.
The current evaluation system, in our opinion, is not doing that. So we set out to find out how teachers feel about the current evaluation system and to start looking for a solution.
The new teacher evaluation system has 4 factors that it considers. One is our observations, which count for a total of 40% of our score for the year. Each observation, one in the fall and one in the spring, counts for 20%. The next largest factor is SLOs, or Student Learning Objectives, which counts for 35%. The next is the School Performance Measure, which is 15% for how well is your school doing on the whole. And then 10% is for professional responsibility. So the Student Learning Objectives is one of the new things that's being rolled out with this new evaluation system. And in theory, it could be a great idea. The idea is at the beginning of the school year, teachers will give a pre-test in something that they think is really specifically and particularly important for their students to know. They'll give some sort of pre-assessment at the beginning of the year and then work to have a well-rounded curriculum throughout the course of the year, but also continue to touch on that one thing. And then towards the end of the year, reassess the students and see how much growth they've made.
And with the SLO, it's such a new concept that for it to be such a new concept, to be putting such a large stake of it into your teacher evaluation, I feel like it's such a disadvantage to teachers because, nobody really truly understands it fully yet.
We were not told about the SLOs in September when we started the school year. We weren't sure what it was going to look like, our evaluation. And then in January, that's when we hear about the SLOs. Right when we had snow days, park testing, all these interruptions, but we still, no extensions. We had to do them on time.
I don't think it was perfected this year, and a lot of the SLO on both administration side and teacher side and advisor and mentor teacher side, there's a lot of complications with the timelines of it all. I really disliked it because the SLOs were actually administered during testing season, and so a lot of teachers also were not actually working on those teaching goals, and it was a little much. I think it needed to be another trial and error period this year to perfect it.
Because I don't write SLOs, but I hear the pain of people who write SLOs, and some people came in from last year ineffective because of the SLOs, and so I found that some teachers have to be on PIPs. So I don't think it's fair because they add all that data in and then it pulls your evaluation down to ineffective.
For the SLO process for me this year, halfway through the year we get told that we're going to do the SLOs, and so I did. I made my proposal and I taught my unit, I gave my post-test, and I thought I was doing everything right, and then I got a notification that I was put on an exempt from doing an SLO list, and I showed it to my principal and I was like, why am I exempt? And she said it's because I have less than 10 kids, and I said I do not have less than 10 kids, and then she said she couldn't change it. On the flip side of that, there's teachers at my school that should have been exempt because they are special ed self-contained classes that have less than 10 students, but for some reason they were not put on the exempt list and they didn't think they had to do SLOs, and so they didn't. And then it was calculated into their formula and they got really low scores on their final evaluation.
So I guess what I disliked a lot about the evaluation was the finality of it, that there was no way to make it more valid for me. Our scores, our SLO scores did not count, and they should have. And that seems like a pretty easy fix.
So what happened at my school is some people, especially the people that were in the CTE programs that's not in the tested areas, they really didn't have a lot of examples of what were good pre and post assessments to cover the material that they were going to cover for their SLO. So what happened to one teacher is she submitted her SLO and she gave her student the pre-assessment like she was told she needed to. And when she gave them a pre-assessment, they had really low scores. When her SLO was approved by the administrator, and in March when she submitted the information, her students, their scores improved, but she had set an 80% mastery goal. So her students had growth, but they didn't have enough mastery of the topics that were on her pre-assessment in the time that she was given. So she ended up only receiving a 1. And so that made her a developing teacher. She actually came from our engineering department, and they're doing some great things down there. They recently helped some students receive a patent for an invention that they had. They went to the White House this year. One of the teachers in the engineering department, she won Nifty Teacher of the Year. They're doing great things, like everything you can't test and get a 4 on so that you get a good evaluation. But now she's not getting a raise this year, and she's a developing teacher, and she's worried about what that means for the future for her as a teacher.
You only get 3 out of 4 points for attaining your goal. So we were encouraged to use 60% for full attainment of the goal and 80% for exceptional attainment of the goal. And it felt bad to write down on paper that my goal was that only 60% of my students would go up by a point. But I don't want to be rated down, and everybody was saying that you should put 60% as the goal and let the higher than the goal be what you're actually striving for. But many teachers were not informed of that, and they put 80% or some other lofty but laudable goal as their goal for their students, and then lost a lot of points on their evaluation.
I think it affected my morale drastically. Certain days you would have to focus on the SLO, and then it would take away from the teaching aspect. I would catch myself sometimes more so not really teaching what I had to teach, but more so trying to direct it towards getting my SLO correct. If I had to lower the percentage of the SLOs until it's probably implemented for probably minimum 10 years, because I would say it would take that long to fully master how to evaluate what you're exactly looking for. I believe with evaluations and the administrators coming into your classroom, they should be able to make an excellent judgment. And just knowing your teachers anyway should be able to give you an evaluation from that.
I just know that anytime you tie an evaluation to money, and then you put that type of situation in front of somebody, they can say whether I can have it, or I can't. And I don't think you deserve it.